Welcome to a little bit of Florida here in California.
Oh, yeah! Music for my ears!
Let me tell you, Walt, yard work is the family business.
Hi, Musketeers! Hi, Biggie! Let's exercise!
Welcome to Sound Stations. Please pick up a pair of headphones and be seated.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mangello, and this is show number 393 for the week of February 1st, 2015. I'm here to help you have the best possible Disney vacation experience and bring you a little bit of Disney magic wherever you are with this podcast, videos, blog, live broadcasts, special events, my books, audio tours, and more. Whether it's your first time visiting or love the history, details, secrets, and stories, there's something here for you. You can find out more by visiting WDWRadio.com or subscribing to the podcast in iTunes. So this week, I'm going to answer more of your questions as I go through my inbox. We'll discuss things like celebrating Walt Disney's birthday in the parks, renting watercraft at the resorts, dining with a large family, a new Disney theme park, the best and worst cast member jobs, Disney details in the UK pavilion, how to get from here to there, and then I'm going to ask you to share one food item from each of the four parks that's your favorite. I'll then have the answer to our last Walt Disney World trivia question of the week and pose a new challenge for your chance to win a Disney prize package. Also, learn how you can help support the show and be a charter member of WDW Radio Nation, where you'll have access to exclusive content, rewards, events, and products like custom Magic Band covers, monthly scavenger hunts, logo items, discounts, special call-in shows, and much more. Find out more or join for as little as $1 per month over at WDWRadio.com/support. Stay tuned for more announcements and your voicemails at the end of the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. When I set out to write my first book about Walt Disney World back in 2003, it wasn't just for a personal challenge for myself to see if I could write the book I wanted to read, but I really did want to help you, the listener, have the best possible Disney vacation experience. And that is what led to the discussion forums and the website and the podcast and the videos and the events and all the things that have since become WDW Radio in the past decade. And I like to try and help you not just uncover and discover the best of the best and the overlooked experiences and things to see and do. And look, who am I kidding? Clearly the best places and things to eat in and around Walt Disney World. But I also like being able to help you with your individual questions. Like, I like to be the Radio Shack. This is an obscure reference. The Radio Shack of the podcast is you've got questions, we've got answers, whether they are about travel planning or saving money or things to do or where to eat or the history or trivia or where to eat or what to eat. So I continue to invite you to email me your questions to lou@wdwradio.com so that we can answer them on the show. And this week, I'm going to open up the inbox once again to help you plan and hopefully plan others as well. And when I open up, virtually speaking, the inbox, it really is like a treasure trove of email-y goodness with questions literally from around the world, which I think is so very cool. And like Forrest Gump's boxes of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get, including some very bad impressions, which I almost just did of Forrest Gump. Unlike my killer, Samuel L. Jackson from last week, my Frozone was spot on. I'm just saying. But when you also give Becky Mankin from Mouse Fan Travel the mic, the same is true. You're not always sure what you're going to get. There's like a 95% chance it's going to be something really good like dark chocolate or caramel or coconut. But there's that off chance you're going to get that weird, fake cherry-filled, fruit-filled, creamy thing that only your grandmother likes. But I digress. Let me welcome my friend and the owner
Friend.
and the biggest piece of chocolate in the box from Mouse Fan Travel, Becky Menken.
Wow. Now, see, I was ready for you to do the Guido to your Luigi because Guido's so cute. But you didn't. You had to go to chocolate, which, of course, means that you started out with food. Right out of the gate. I started out with the food, and hopefully we're going to continue on through the email. And I really randomly select these things, and the fact that they often turn to food is not necessarily always my doing. This really does scare me because I don't know if this is going to be the cherry gooey stuff that sits. Did your grandmother have that dish that had the candies in it that were there like for 17 years?
No, but there was always like the Whitman sampler, but without the cheat sheet. So you didn't know, and then you had to take a bite, and then she's like, well, you took it, you got to eat.
Okay,
and you're
wait
like,
a minute.
No,
were you one of the people that picked one up and like bit from the bottom and then put it back in? Well, you strike me as that kind of guy.
Because if I didn't like it, I wanted to share it with others because some attractions in Walt Disney World, not everybody likes it, but chances are it's somebody's favorite attraction. Right?
Yeah. See what you did there? Uh-huh.
See? Like my grandmother thought that rum raisin cherry vanilla ice cream was what everybody wanted on their birthday cake, and I'm sure it was somebody's favorite. It just wasn't mine. And this is way too much discussion about food and my grandmother. So let's get right into the emails for this week. It says, hey, Lou, love listening to the podcast. I love your love for Disney. And my question is, does Walt Disney World do anything on December 5th of every year? I was going to ask you, Becky, what that's for, but obviously it's to acknowledge the birthday of Walt Disney. They are going to Walt Disney World later that day this year, but was wondering if they do anything sort of as a nod to Walt for his birthday. Michael Lau would love to go down a little early so he could be there that day. And, I hate to say this, and I hate to sort of start off on a down note, but unfortunately, other than maybe a few individual cast members that might wear a happy birthday button that says happy birthday Walt, they really don't do anything in the parks. I would love to see something in Magic Kingdom and or Epcot or even the resorts acknowledging Walt Disney. And I was disappointed years ago when a group of us were out to lunch on Walt's birthday, as sort of a little mini birthday celebration, and we were talking to one of the cast members, and they didn't know that it was Walt's birthday. So that kind of disappointed us. Yeah, we're like, it's your boss's birthday. And they're like, it's Michael Eisner's birthday. We're like, no, it's Walt Disney's birthday. But I would love to see, because we've done actually shows in the past about, finding Walt in Walt Disney World. And I would love to see them have some type of acknowledgement or a special, with the maps, have like a special handout, maybe about the history of Walt Disney or a birthday cake celebration or a special, how about this? I'll bring it back to food, a special Walt cupcake. No! Tomato soup and grilled cheese or saltine crackers and chilies. Yeah, have a Walt food at one of the restaurants in Magic Kingdom.
See, that would be awesome because, of course, it's December 5th, so it's the most wonderful time of the year to begin with, and there's so many celebrations and things going on, and Disney's all about celebrations. It is kind of perplexing that they don't acknowledge, the person's birthday that started it all.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate Walt's birthday.
There we go. I think we should.
Food. So Lillian in an interview had talked about, they said she said Walt was a very basic guy. Like breakfast, he was eggs, toast, orange juice, maybe sausage. Lunch, sandwich, milk, coffee. He always had coffee for lunch. And obviously we know he liked, his crackers and he liked his chili and things like that. So that's what we need to do is chili and beans at, maybe Liberty Tree Tavern, because Walt was all about America. And we'll have I am going to mark this down in my mind and do something special for a culinary tribute to Walt Disney on December 5th.
I think that's a great idea. The place that I do know kind of does a little bit more celebration is the Walt Family Museum. They do a little nod, of course, to Walt, but of course not in the parks. But that's just another excuse to go see a wonderful museum about a wonderful man's life.
To quote Jack Shepard, we have to go back, Kate. We need to go. We had our group trip, 2 years ago, I guess. So we went to We did a WDW Radio trip out to the Walt Disney Family Museum, and the sourdough bread in San Francisco.
Back to food. Move on.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm so distracted now about the chili. All right, so Mark Desiderio from Fremont, New Hampshire says, "Hey, Lou and Becky. I'm a longtime listener. Love the show. The listener email shows are my favorite to listen to."
Aw, see? I like this guy already. Don't even know what the question is. I like this guy already.
And wait, I like him too, because my question today is about recreation and food.
Of course.
I'm planning a 9-day trip in 2015 with my wife and are staying at a 1-bedroom room at Bay Lake Towers. I dig it. I want to plan a calm and soothing afternoon midweek during the vacation. We're thinking about renting a pontoon boat at the Contemporary and bringing lunch with us, possibly to-go sandwiches and or salads from Contempo Cafe. I think the pontoon boat may be too big for 2 people, but with the benches, I think we'll be more comfortable sitting and enjoying lunch. Have you ever driven these boats? How easy are they to captain, handle, and dock? Also, are we allowed to bring a bagged lunch on the boats? Again, love the show. Look forward to hearing my question answered. Again, thanks again. That's Mark Desiderio. I love this question because I like the idea that Mark is looking to do things outside the parks. Sort of, it's off the radar, I think, Becky, for a lot of people. You know, years ago, actually, you joined me. We rented a Sea Racer. And we did a video at the Contemporary of taking out a Sea Racer boat. And if you visit wdwradio.com/Sea Racer, SEARAYCER, you can watch the video of us sort of tooling around on that little 2-person boat. But I think the idea of taking out the pontoon boats or doing fishing or the specialty cruises is one of those things that people so often overlook, but it's a really nice, unique way to see and experience a little bit more about what Disney World has to offer.
Yeah, when you've been there and you've done the parks, and when your first few times, you're totally focused on getting to the theme park and doing the rides and going through everything. But there's so much to do outside of the park gates that really truly make it a resort experience. And this is one of those things. The pontoon boats or all of the water recreation. I mean, there's parasailing, there's all these other pieces. And it really does have a lot of a variety when you go from the little 2-person Sea Racer, which, by the way, you scared me to death a few times going towards the ferries. But then again, I didn't drop the camera in the water, so it's a good thing. All the way to the pontoon boats, or, you know, if you're trying to celebrate something special, there's also the yacht that you can rent as well. And those are available during the day, as you said, or for the specialty cruises at night. So there's a lot of things that you can do that's outside of the park gates. And I think you're right. A lot of people overlook those things because they're so focused on what's going on in the parks.
And I think what Mark wants to do, though, is I think that he wants to captain the boat himself.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Becky Mankin, who needs to have the Grand One and a captain and a butler and be waited on hands and foot by white-gloved servants.
Or sitting next to you in a Sea Racer. Yeah.
I was singing the Jaws theme to you, which I know you totally loved.
It was really magical. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can actually get a driver if you wanted for a pontoon boat and do one of the specialty Wishes cruises that run about $250 to $300 depending on what you want. But you can rent the pontoon boats. I believe the price is still about $45 for 30 minutes. They fit up to, I believe, 8 people, 6 to 8 people really comfortably, and they are very simple to drive. Obviously, you need to, use proper judgment when you are doing it. You're not trying to gun it and race other pontoon boats, but it's a nice way to take a very leisurely tour of Bay Lake or Seven Seas Lagoon or wherever one of the other marinas that you take the boat out from. I think, Mark, this is a really, really nice idea, and I think this is probably something that your wife would really enjoy as well.
Yeah, and like you said, they do have 2 types of the pontoon boats. They have one that is up to 8 people and another one that holds up to 10. And during the daytime, you can captain it yourself. And yes, you can bring a bagged lunch on board. That's your own food during the daytime operations. But at night, if you're doing the specialty cruises, that's when they require you to actually have a driver. And if you wanted to do food and beverage, they actually have a catering line that they ask you to use and won't allow you to bring your own food on board at night. So there are both rules for day and night, as I just mentioned.
Yeah, and you don't have to be staying at the Contemporary to rent the boat. You could be staying anywhere. You don't have to even be staying on property. And you can also rent it from Caribbean Beach, Coronado, Wilderness, Grand Floridian, Old Key I know has it, Polynesian, both the Port Orleans and actually Fort Wilderness too. So if you're like doing the Fort Wilderness thing, that's really nice. And Yacht and Beach Club you could do. And I love daytime cruises on Crescent Lake. Those are really cool.
Those are really fun because then you can actually see the ferries and not run into them, Mangello.
David Nicely says, Lou, I've been listening to your podcast for the last 3 years and have enjoyed them immensely. Thank you. My family and I have used them to plan our past vacations and have always benefited from them. My question is this. We recently adopted a sibling group, so our family has doubled from 4 to 8. It's like Brady Bunch for a new generation. In the past, when we've gone to Walt Disney World with large groups, we've had trouble finding restaurants that would accommodate large parties, 8 or 9, even calling at the 180-day mark. So what restaurants would you recommend for being large, family-friendly? They are planning a trip for this year. Keep up the great work. We always appreciate the magic you provide on a weekly basis. Best regards, David Nicely. So first of all, I love and I applaud and I honor and respect you for adopting those kids and being able to double your family. I understand what a great blessing that is to you and your family and for those kids, and how it becomes a little bit more difficult, a little bit more, a lot more logistics to think about when you're taking 4 people to Disney World as opposed to taking a group of 8. But I think that there are some restaurants, Becky, that really do very well in terms of accommodating large parties. I know for a lot of people, Ohana is where their mind and hearts and usually stomachs go first, because I have 2 words for you: unlimited meat. But I think another one to think about too, and we just did this. We had a group of maybe 60 at Beer Garden in Germany in Epcot. And what's nice too is, like Ohana, you don't have to worry about ordering off a menu. It's buffet style, so you can usually get tables that will fit 10 to 12 people on it too.
Oh yeah, and once again, on the other side, my hat's off to you for you extending yourself and adopting this wonderful sibling group. As an adoptee, hats off to you. I love to hear stories like this. Many of the restaurants, you can still make reservations through the My Disney Experience for up to 10 people. So you can find those reservations. But as you mentioned, look for the restaurants that have easy seating where tables can be put together. Ohana's good. Beer Garden's a great one for that. Also, Whispering Canyon does a good job of accommodating groups, as does Teppan Edo, of course, because they have 8 to 10 at those tables as well. But also, the ones that are serving family style or the buffets are typically much better at accommodating large groups as well. Yeah. So keep a lookout for those types of restaurants, which are going to be the best for those groups of 8 to 10.
Yeah, you can even think of places like Trails End, or if you really want to do something special, Spirit of Aloha or Hoop-de-Doo is another place where they can sort of put a large group together as well. But yeah, I agree. Chef Mickey's is another great option as well. And then you can also, too, depending on the age of the children, sometimes you might have to be split up into 2 tables of, a 4 and a 6 top, whatever it might be, but still possibly try and getting next to each other.
Yeah, exactly. And the restaurants are really good about working with you as long as they have the heads up or know that those groups are coming. So you may have to wait a little bit longer if you want the tables to be right next to each other, but not that much, honestly. And they're really, really good about working with families.
And now I want Teppan. Now I want to go to Hawaii.
Hey, I'm in. I'll add it to the list.
All right. So my pal, as he addresses himself, my pal Griffin Birdsong. Oh my God, that's like the coolest name ever. My pal Griffin Birdsong. It sounds like something out of like a movie.
Wow.
Hey yo, Lou. I'm a huge fan and am in need of some answers. I've been reading and hearing myself of lots of rumors of a new Disney park or complex. Wait for it. In Northwest Arkansas. He says it has been confirmed that the Disney company has bought acres of land in Benton County, Arkansas. But if it's not a park, then what would they be using the land for? Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. And I wish you and your shows the very best of luck. Your pal, Griffin Birdsong. So, Griffin, I love this email. I love your name for so many reasons, but I may have some potentially disappointing news for you and the other residents of Benton County, Arkansas. I did as much research as I possibly could after receiving this email, and I think what you may be hearing is what the people in Texas and Missouri and New Jersey and New Orleans and Ottawa and San Diego, and every so often, these rumors of Disney acquiring land secretly or not so secretly to build the next great theme park or to build the next incarnation of the much lamented, unfortunately never built Disney's America. I have not seen anything. If you have something else that shows confirmation, I'd be willing to certainly take a deeper dive and find out what I can, but I don't necessarily know that Disney has actually purchased land. And if so, what would they be using it for? You know, it would be fun to maybe play armchair Imagineer and say, okay, well, is this where Disney's America, which was going to go into that Washington, Virginia area, which would have been amazing, and we need to do a show on it as Becky starts looking on altavista.com to find out what I'm talking about. But I don't think, Griffin, that Disney is coming necessarily to Benton County.
Well, beyond the rumors of, like you said, this type of rumor of things being bought and things coming have been out there for years and years and years. Beyond that, I got nothing.
You know
I
what,
think you just picked this one for his name.
And well, I think what happens too, like if you're a realtor that's trying to drum up business or housing prices in Benton County, all you need to say is, I'm just telling you, Disney's coming in, so you better buy this land now. So it's like the old ads in the back of magazines where they sold all the swampland in Florida years ago. Some people got lucky. They bought Orlando.
The X-ray glasses. Remember the X-ray glasses in the back of the comic books?
Only, you know what? It figures that's the thing that you would buy. I bought the 98-pound weakling stuff, and it didn't.
Wait. You got sea monkeys, didn't you?
Yeah, I totally got sea monkeys. Oh, my God. Who didn't have sea monkeys? But I bought the 98-pound weakling stuff like 5 times, and it never worked. And then it all kicked in all at once around my stomach, like when I turned 40. It's not. It is not what I was. It just right.
Yeah. Got to read the fine print on the back of those packages.
All right. So, hey, Lou, and possibly Becky.
Possibly?
That's what it says.
What are you gonna tell these
I
people?
don't make the news, I just read it.
What's this possibly
My dad and I love this. My dad and I, which I think is awesome, you enjoy those trips with your father. My dad and I are planning to go to Walt Disney World for my 16th birthday this year. My favorite resort is Wilderness Lodge because I fondly remember going with my grandparents 6 years ago. I've been back since then, but we stayed outside the resorts and only went to Disney's Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. I'm currently saving up for this trip, and it looks like my dad and I are going to be splitting most of the costs. So my question is this. Do you suggest we stay at Wilderness Lodge or one of the value resorts or maybe even a moderate? If we stay at Wilderness Lodge, our trip is going to be shorter, and I'm trying to get the most out of the trip because it's my 16th birthday. We're thinking about staying at one of the value, maybe All-Star Sports preferably, so we can stay for 6 days and it wouldn't be so expensive. I want to spend at least 3 days in the parks and go to all 4 of them. Thanks for what you do. Your podcasts make me laugh and smile every day. That is the mission, my brother. God bless, Isaac Johnson. So, Isaac, a couple of things quick. I love the fact that you're going with your dad. Do that for as long as you can, and hopefully you carry that tradition on if and when you have a son. And I think for someone who's about to turn 16, this is a very articulate, well-thought-out, well-laid plan. He's like, okay, if I want to maximize my time, let me do the balance. Like, do I stay at a better resort or do I stay for longer? There's part of me, the thinking with my heart part says, go to Wilderness Lodge. Let sort of be your place. Let that be your tradition. Let that be the memory that you continue to have year after year, and take a picture every year in front of the fireplace or whatever it may be and go to Whispering Canyon and eat your faces off. But you also make sense too. Like, hey, if we're not going to spend a lot of time in the resort and go into the pool and using the amenities and location doesn't matter, maybe it makes sense to take some of the money that we were going to spend in the resort, stay someplace less expensive like All-Star, and extend our vacation for a few more days so we get more time and more memories in the park. My inclination is to maybe do that, right? Extend your vacation have more time together, go over to Wilderness Lodge. Like, go over there and say, you know what, Dad, let's make sure we eat at Whispering Canyon at least once every trip. So that's kind of your thing. But you have to sort of, think with your heart, think with your head. What is more important to you? Where you're going to be staying or how long you're going to stay there?
You know what? The funny part is I agree with you. This is one of those scenarios where my Libra kicks in, and I kind of do the same thing you did, kind of go into the heart, and it'd be so cool to be there and relive that memory. However,
that's not your Libra, that's your Sybil.
Wow,
that's an
seriously?
obscure old reference, but
wow. Oh, you'll pay for that later. All right. Anyway, however, if you look back, didn't you say something that he only went to Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom?
Correct.
When they went before, so there's still 2 other experiences that they haven't done yet. So I would lean towards spending the maximum amount of time. Go to a value or a moderate so you can spend 6 days, and then set some new memories with your father. Return, like you said, over to Wilderness Lodge, take a picture by the fireplace, go to eat at Whispering Canyon, or whatever you want to do to hang out at the resort to feel in and breathe in those memories. But start a new tradition and spend time in a couple of the parks that you've never seen before, and you'll still have time to do the other 2 to relive those memories at Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom as well. And then somewhere down the line, when you have your own son, your own family, or hopefully before then, take your dad to Wilderness Lodge down the line when the budget can stretch that a little bit farther. But you would have already started making those memories if you have more time, more access. You're not in a hurry or a rush. And I think it'd be a great way to start new traditions.
So I have to admit, I heard nothing after you said tradition, because all I've had in my head is Topol singing Fiddler on the Roof, singing tradition. If I were a rich man, and that, sorry.
See, I can do this. I can break in a song. Of course.
God, how many obscure references? Let's see. We've got Sybil. We've got Topol.
No,
and
we don't have Sybil. You have Sybil.
Listen,
we don't have Sybil.
I'm like, you could just walk out the door and be like, wow, look, she's dressed as Sybil for Halloween. All right.
Really?
Rachel from nearby my old stomping
I can't wait
grounds.
till you see your new Halloween costume. Move on. Everyone's going to be going.
I'm going as Topol.
Tweet Lou, what is your new Halloween costume? Becky will tell him later. Go ahead. Where are we? Wait, what?
Tradition? Sorry. All right. So Rachel from nearby my old stomping grounds when I used to live in Naples. She is from Fort Myers, Florida. Lou and hopefully Becky. It's getting better. They're getting better.
It's better than that. Possibly. Go ahead.
I just discovered your show, and I'm so glad that I did. I am an annual pass holder, but I still can't seem to get enough Disney in between trips. Welcome to the family. I have a question that I'm not sure has been asked yet, but I'm very interested in your thoughts. Like many fans, I grew up hoping that one day I'd get to work at Walt Disney World. That didn't happen, but it still can, Robin, Rachel, so hold out hope. And now that I am an adult with a job, that's probably in some ways better than an entry-level Disney job. I still wonder what it would be like to work there, and what would I do if I did? So my question for you and Becky is, what do you think would be the best and worst cast member jobs on property? Now, I'm not talking about executive positions or anything like that, but roles where you would actually be on property, likely to be interacting with guests as part of your job, although backstage jobs can count too, as long as they are actually on property. They can be anything from working in attractions, shops, hotels, restaurants, a character, driving the buses, as long as you are working with guests regularly or are somewhere on property. Which cast member job would you be over the moon if Disney offered it to you, and which one would you least want? Thanks for reading.
Dare take mine.
And thanks for such a great podcast. Rachel from Fort Myers. Rachel, I've gotten this question for however many years. I love this question. And Becky, to be courteous and gentlemanly, because boys always let the ladies go first, usually, I want you to go first because I want to make sure I don't steal whatever potential tropical thunder you might have.
I have one that I've always wanted. It's unfortunately a back in time moment because it no longer exists. But I would have loved to have been part of the dream team. the people who made the wishes during the Year of a Million Dreams. I would have not killed. I would have
Wow.
I would have stolen somebody's chocolate, to maybe yours, to be in that role of making magic and surprising people, and just creating this magical atmosphere of, hey, guess what? You get to stay in Cinderella's castle. I would have loved that job. Of anything on property, that would have been my number one. So we just go back and forth here because I got a few, but that's the one I've always kind of thought that would have been so cool to do.
Write down this moment, because there's not many times in our lives I'll say, Becky, that really probably is or was the ideal. Look, your job was simple, and it was to make magic for guests. Like, look, not to get into a discussion because I've never been a cast member, but every single cast member's job is not, your job is to take money. Your job is to be a server. Your job is to do one thing: make people happy. The role you do it in doesn't really matter. That's secondary to that mission that every Disney cast member is so heavily ingrained with. And your job, your mission statement really was your job. Your job was to go around and make sure people were happy. You were, and Disney does this so well, and I speak a lot about, creating an amazing guest experience and using Disney as an example when I give presentations to businesses or corporations or at conventions. And the fact that Disney empowers their cast members to do that on a regular basis, but these Dream Team members were basically given the uniform and the bag and the empowerment to go out and do what needs to be done to make people happy. And oh, by the way, do these random things where people could win a night in the castle, a lanyard, Mickey ears, a free soda, whatever it was. And I think of all the promotions Disney has done, it is the one that I love and to a certain degree miss the most. And I knew a lot of those cast members, and I met a lot of those cast members. And when you meet a cast member at Disney World and you see that look in their eyes when they talk about their role or they tell a story about a guest, these people had that look in their eyes every day. And I still know some of these people, some of whom they work now at Boardwalk, and they're greeting guests, and they still sort of bleed that. Like it's you can see it in them. So I am with you 110%. I would love to have had that kind of role. Following along with that, in that sense of being empowered, if you were to ask me my ideal role, and it could probably change on a day-to-day. On one hand, I'd say, look, I'd love to be a tour guide, right? It's what I do, right? I like making people's experiences better, tearing back the layers of the onion and slowing people down and I don't care about getting you a fast pass. I want you to slow down. I want you to really understand the story and the detail and the love that was put into these parks and why everything is where it is and how everything speaks to all five senses. That being said, and I know this is a really long answer, I would take that same role to a certain degree, or that same mission, and I think the people who are custodians are as, if not more, empowered. And you might say, why do I want to be the guy who's cleaning up after the horses or sweeping the streets? Why? Because there's people in the Magic Kingdom who receive so much sort of extra training, are empowered to, look, they're the only cast members, save for a few, the only sort of costume cast members that can go from Tomorrowland to Fantasyland to Frontierland because they're wearing all white. Those are the ones that guests are more likely to go up to with a question. Not the lead who's got the earpiece and a suit, but the custodian, right, who knows that park like the back of his hand, who is potentially, from a psychological perspective, more approachable. So you have the power to make magic in small ways. And I've told the story a million times. The first time I went to Disneyland and I was lost because things weren't where they were supposed to be, and I asked the custodian where something was, he picked up his broom and he took me there. And he could have just pointed to it and says, oh, dude, it's that way. Go around the corner and you'll find it. But he took me there and he talked to me and he asked me about my day and my experience and where I was from. And he wanted to hear my story. And that has remained with me nearly a decade later. So from one end of the spectrum, from tour guide to custodial, it's those kind of roles where I could interact with the guests and be empowered to help make their experience better.
Wow. Yeah. And funny thing, because you kind of went down the path of what you already do. I had written down 4 things on what I'd like to do. Dream team, cast member was one. Of course, I went right to special events planner backstage but that's what I do also for a living. But I would love to do it with Disney, because then you've got, all of that power to make magic again. You can sit down with somebody and figure out what it is that they want to create for their magical memory or their 16th birthday or their anniversary or whatever, and make it happen. So of course that's kind of what I've already do. But I also wrote down VIP tour guide / guest relations, because empowerment, being able to help people, being able to answer their questions, being able to make their trip and stay and where they're trying to go more magical, and just having little pieces. It's not, like you said, it's not the manager with the earpiece. Of course, they do have very important roles of making all the cogs work together, but it's the people who have those experiences. One little thing to a family that may not seem like a big thing to anybody else, but makes a huge difference to the experience of a family. And those guest relations people, those people at the restaurants, those cast members that are custodial, all of those people have that ability. And another one that I wrote down, believe it or not, because I was thinking about attractions. If I had to work an attraction, which would it be? And mine pops up as Haunted Mansion, because that's the only place that you can really make a huge difference in, not the only one, but one of them where you make a huge difference in your behavior, how they're going to feel about the attraction. I've really had some great cast members there that make me feel spooky, and I'm walking into a haunted mansion and it's amazing, and I really love that role.
So it's interesting that you said that, and I'm going to be honest, Rachel, I don't like the second part of your question, because you asked about the worst cast member jobs on property. That's like saying, that's like saying, oh, what's the worst role to be in as an astronaut? Like, you're still working at an amazing company, in Walt Disney World. So I don't like it, because I think I can answer it. Well, I know you will, but I want to touch on something that you said.
Sure.
I think it's a privilege to work for the Disney company. I think it's something that no matter what role you have, if you leave the company and go elsewhere, a future employer is going to see that on your resume and understand what the value of that experience has. That being said, I tried to sort of distance myself personally and say, okay, the quote unquote worst cast member job. And I said, all right, obviously, if you're the custodian guy backstage that's cleaning up after, the elephant, maybe that's not the most glamorous job in the world. I actually think that a Haunted Mansion butler now depending on how you define worst, can potentially be one of the worst jobs. And the reason why is because, Becky, what I want you to do is this summer, I'm going to give you a really, really heavy, long wool polyester maid's outfit and head thing and makeup, and I'm going to stick you out in the middle of the sun you'll last about 7 minutes.
Not even that.
So I think, and I applaud those guys for being able to stay in character as much as they can. And I think it would be a little frustrating, because to a certain degree, you are sort of limited in terms of what you can do as a Haunted Mansion butler or maid. And roles that you would think I think a Jungle Cruise skipper would be awesome, but to a certain degree, you have to stay within the narration. You can't just sort of go, some do, some kind of go off on their own, which can make or break it. But I feel bad for, and I applaud the cast members that have those heavy costumes that have to be out there, and those dancers that those guys work on those parades in the middle of August. So when I say worst, it's worse in terms of it's difficult, but you can tell they love what they do. So I'm qualifying my answer.
So true. And I get what you're saying there. I was not thinking, and I wasn't trying to go down the path of being in the sun and being uncomfortable. I was thinking of, the role in particular. So it's interesting how we go perfectly down the line until we hit that one and we broke apart the other two directions. But on this one, I agree with you. It's a magical place, and you're privileged to be part of the company in one way or another. But of course, it's a job at the end of the day. And a lot of people look at Disney and they don't. If the cast members are doing their job correctly, we don't think they have real homes or real lives. They just magically go to sleep and wake up in the Magic Kingdom, and they don't, do anything but that. But you still do have all of those challenges. Like when I had guest relations on my list. Obviously, that can be a difficult role to be in because there are some people who are a little bit difficult when you're trying to work with people. They have an expectation of their vacation, and it's hard to, make magic sometimes. But I think for me, and you already hit on it, so this isn't going to surprise you at all. Anything without shade in the summer would be my nightmare scenario. Maybe not so much in Disneyland because I can handle that a little bit better. But Disney World, I wouldn't last. 7 minutes is being really gracious.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to see Becky in August be a lifeguard at the kiddie pool somewhere because it's just sort of all the things
you're trying to kill me. You are trying to kill me.
For some people, for you, that's known as purgatory. For some people, and look, and the last thing I want to sort of say on this is when you were talking about it, you're talking about, this job and that job. And I think that's the distinctive and defining word right there because the cast members that truly love what they do, it's not a job for them. Art, right. And this is the first thing that came. Art the greeter, and if you remember him, you know who I mean. That was not his job, man. He flippin' loved standing there in his sailor suit greeting guests at the beach club. Like I don't think the guy would have cared if he got paid or not. He just loved what he did, and it wasn't his job. It was like his calling. And I hate to sound so philosophical, but for some cast members, I think that's what it is. Like they're called to that role and they love it so much that there is no bad job for them. All right, listen, let's move on. But I would love to also hear you, the listener. I want to hear your thought. What's the best and worst cast member job in Walt Disney World? Tweet me at Lou Mangello. Call the voicemail 407-900-9391 and weigh in. And if you are a cast member or former cast member or college program or intern, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Next email says, "Hey Lou, I am Shane Thrasher." Another awesome name. God,
you pick these by names,
dude. Imagine walking into high school. Imagine walking into high school like, Shlomo. What's your name?
Wow.
What's your name? Shane Thrasher. Like girls will just be like freaking out. Shane, I am so jealous. He is from Brownsburg, Indiana, ladies. So look him up. I am a big Lou Mangello fan. I'm a big old Shane Thrasher fan. I was lucky enough to get a picture with you in Liberty Square a couple of years ago, smiley face, and I have a question.
He's probably taller. Sorry. With a name like that, he's got to be taller.
So Shane, okay, ladies, he's taken. He is sitting here with my wife as we are ordering the exact selections from your review. I love it. With Pink Emma from the UK and Holly, our server, one of my favorite live reviews ever. Very anxious to try it all after listening to you all. Loving it. Smiley face again. My question, I'm sure it's a Disney detail, but why do the windows at the pub have a large bubble-looking imperfection on one of the panes of each window? I assume it's due to the way glass was made during the time period represented, but I wanted to check with you. Here's a picture. Pretend that you can see a picture here. Thanks, Lou. I truly love Walt Disney World and the organization he built, and very much appreciate your contribution to such a great man. Would love, in big letters, to work with you someday. No way I could justify why I'd be perfect for the job in this email, other than the fact that your name is Shane Thrasher.
Sounds like a Marvel character, I swear.
I think it's so right? He's like a falcon. So Shane, I love the email. I dig so much about it, and I love the fact that you are taking the time to look up from your Scotch egg and your curried chicken and whatever else that you're eating and or drinking, and noticed the bubble glass. And just by way of quick background, the sort of that pub section in the Rose and Crown or really represents a lot of different types of architecture. The waterfront pub and the Victorian era pub and the countryside pub. And you're right, the bubble that you see in the glass goes back to the way flat glass was made in the 17, even 1800s, when they would sort of I don't know how to say it, but the way they sort of blew the glass and then eventually cut it sort of create that kind of bullseye type window that you can still find in English pubs. And the optics on the glasses was not perfect because of that. But again, that's one of those Disney details they wouldn't have to put in there. And people probably look and go, why are these, what's wrong with these windows? Like, did Disney cheap out? Why are the shutters hanging the way they are on Liberty Square? Because it's authentic to the time period. It's what you would have found in a pub. And you'll still find in pubs from the 17th and 18th centuries in the United Kingdom. So I applaud you for pointing it out and picking it out as much as I applaud Disney for having those kinds of bullseye bubble windows on the exterior glass as well.
Yeah. It's a pub.
You just know where the alcohol, right? You know where the booze is, and you're like, oh, they have windows?
The Welsh Dragon. I look at the Welsh Dragon. I'm fixed on the green drink.
Yeah, it's cool how they do it, how they sort of blow the glass and they cut the bubble free from the blowing pipe and then rotate. Anyway, all right, let's move on to, Shane Thrasher, I love that question. So I wish I could sort of do like an echo effect when I say his name. All right, Lisa from Michigan says, Lou, I just wanted to let you know that I love the show. I've been listening since December and I'm almost all caught up. And I have a question for you. My fiance and I, wow, she's almost caught up. Holy smokes. That's a lot of Lou in a short period of time. My fiance and I are going to be honeymooning at the World soon and are staying at Pop Century. We have a 7:35 a.m. ADR at the Cape May Cafe on the 5th. And I was wondering, what's the best way to get over there from Pop Century? We'll be using Magical Express, not renting a car. Please help me. I'm a seasoned vet when it comes to the World, but I've never been to a character breakfast, either not in a park or at Chef Mickey's, and I'm kind of lost. Thank you for your help, Lisa from Michigan. I promise I'll make this answer much shorter than the past ones. I think you basically have two options. You can take a bus to Epcot, or I would actually probably take a bus to Hollywood Studios and take the nice walk over down the Judson Green walkway and look at the nice waterway and the Swan and Dolphin, or just grab a cab or take an Uber over. Otherwise, there is no direct bus from Pop to the Beach Club.
Yeah, the taxi ride is only about, I want to say $12 or so. It's about a 10-minute ride. If you want to sleep in an extra 20 minutes, go the taxi route. Or like you said, I wouldn't probably go to Epcot because you can't walk through. You'd have to catch I'd go to Hollywood Studios and walk, or take the boat over, which would probably be your best bet for that time of morning.
Yeah, and that's a nice walk. It feels kind of like a marathon, but it's a nice walk.
It is.
All right, so Becky, we are running longer, shocker, than I expected.
Amazing.
I'm going to jump around a little bit, and I'm going to go to the final question of this week's email show, because, of course, I want to pose this question to not just you, but to the listeners as well, because I love, God, these names are awesome. Gunnar Hayes. Like, again, you walk into high school, what's your name? Gunnar. Like, that's like
wait.
Blaze,
Whoa.
Gunnar, Shane Thrasher.
Here's the thing. If you take all of the names in this one, you could like create a little Fantastic Four.
Oh my God, it is. It's like the expanded Marvel universe in here.
Yes.
All right. So Gunnar says, hey, Lou, thank you for all the great work that you do. As a college student, athlete life can get pretty stressful at times, but imagining and thinking about Walt Disney World is always a calming outlet for even a 20-year-old male like myself. Your podcasts and videos allow me to put it, as you say, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I don't know when my next Disney vacation will be, but my question involves our favorite topic. You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's food.
It's food.
Here you go, baby. You ready?
Ready.
Think on this. If you could pick just one food item from each of the 4 parks, what would it be? P.S., he says, you can take popcorn out of contention, as you did in your Disney's Hollywood Studios video. And how about taking out the Mickey Premium Ice Cream Bar as well, for argument's sake, since it's such an easy answer? Thanks again. Keep up the good work, and God bless you too, brother. Gunnar Hayes. All right. Now.
Wait. Okay. Does the Grandma Nii slushy and the horchata at La Cava count?
He says one food item from each of the 4 parks. And I'm going first because I know otherwise you're going to steal the one that I introduced you to.
Oh.
I know, but listen, because, I'm going to start a Magic Kingdom.
There you go.
Right, and obviously I would have said popcorn because it's sort of my thing. It's what I love.
Right.
But and this changes, every so often. But right now, as of the day we are recording this in 2015 AD, in the year of our Lord, if you tell me mac and cheese, one food item from that park, oh, you know where I'm going, Big Mama. Pot roast mac and cheese from the Friar's Nook. Let that sink in for a sec. That is rich, creamy, moist, meaty, hearty, warm your innards, comfort food deliciousness at
$0 calories.
Just shut up, the calorie schmalaries. Just let that sink in for a second. Pot roast mac and cheese. And you're like, oh, it's counter service. It's in the parks. It's going to be like tough and lame and be like, oh no. No. The pot roast falls apart, right? It's moist. Come closer. Listen, it's moist. It's delicious. That and there's the saltiness and the savoriness mixed with the creamy richness of the cheese is amazing.
There are 3 more parts.
There's also, they have truffle mac and cheese hot dog, and the bacon cheeseburger mac and cheese is okay. The mac and cheese with the toasted panko breadcrumbs, that's pretty darn awesome too. They have hot dogs, but don't waste your time with that. Pot roast mac and cheese, $8. It'll change your life. It'll change it. And if you if you're listening and you go to Magic Kingdom and you try it, please, I'm begging you, tweet me a photo of you. Do a selfie, you and your pot roast mac and cheese. Tweet me at Lou Mongello or post it on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Lou Mongello or facebook.com/WDW Radio. I love it with all of my heart and stomach.
Yeah. And sadly, I 100% agree with you on that, because when you said, I think we were meeting up for something and we're trying to catch up to each other and you tweeted me and said, I'm having this pot roast mac and cheese. I'm like, what? Where's that? And then you didn't share. So go figure. So that must be really, really good stuff. And later on that trip, I did stop to see what all the thing was about. And every time I've been in Magic Kingdom now, I've gone for the stupid mac and cheese.
Right.
Pot roast because it's so good. But all right, I will take a different take on it though. Because I'm going to go, you went for the savory, I'm going to go for the sweet.
Shocker.
Just because it's me. Sweet and happy and, the gray stuff.
Aye.
I know, but it's in a chocolate cupcake and the gray stuff is, yes, it's delicious at Be Our Guest restaurant. So if I could only eat one thing and it couldn't be the pot roast mac and cheese, I'm going to go for the gray stuff because lots of sweetness here that needs to be upheld.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you the gray stuff. I probably would have gone elsewhere for my sweetness, but that's okay.
Where?
I don't know. I might have actually gone over to the Big Top because they've got some really nice sweet. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Wait, they do.
No, wait.
What?
Go around Thanksgiving time and get the pumpkin fudge from the confectionery.
Oh, that was good.
Dios mío.
Yeah.
Sweet fancy Moses, that's good stuff. All right, let's go over to Epcot, and I will let you go first because I can't. There's nowhere I can go from this. Well, actually, that's not true. There's some really good stuff that I like.
Well, there's 2 things I got to throw in here because I can't just say one because I can't. But if I was going to drink my food, the Grand Marnier slushie, of course. However, this is your fault again. Why is it everything I eat is your fault? I do love the horchata at La Cava. With, of course, the big thing of chips and the guacamole.
Yeah.
That's just sitting there and dipping the chip in the guacamole and eating the horchata. I mean, that's heaven to me. I could sit there and do that all day. It's that good. However, I also, over at the bakery in France, I love their chocolate croissant. I know, chocolate. I'm going to the sweet again, but how about this? Almost anything in the bakery in France.
Yeah,
which of course
going to say,
I can't pronounce the name for the life of me. You could probably do it. Yeah, okay. Do it in your best French accent.
I don't want to offend the French with my bad
I'm going to
accent.
say bakery in France because I definitely would, but I could just see you going, oh, and throwing in some, French thing there. But for Epcot, I think those are the 2.
And yes, even though you don't actually eat the horchata, and if you don't know what a horchata is, you're referring to a horchata margarita, which you can get at La Cava de Tequila. And it's tequila and horchata rum and fireball and agave. And it's, I don't even know how to describe it.
I hate you and love you at the same time for introducing me to that.
Because horchata, it's sort of this, it's got the flavor of sort of almonds and sesame seeds. And it's a Latin American type of drink. Also has like rice and vanilla and cinnamon. And when you start to mix in rum and fireball and tequila, it just makes it even more magical, if it's at all possible. So in Epcot, I too had a tough time deciding. So I will give you a sweet and I will give you a savory. And I don't know if it was the sleep deprivation and the exhaustion from cheering at the marathon last year, but the first time that someone brought me, and I can't call it a cronut, but the croissant donut, Holy Castle of Grayskull, my good Gandhi, that was good. It's, imagine like a donut, like layered and flaky with cinnamon. It's just that with a nice cup of iced coffee. Come on, brother. Like you come on, give me a hug. You know how good that is. That being said, if I had to go to Epcot and go to one place and eat one thing as like this wouldn't be my death row meal, but if like, Lou, you're going to croak tomorrow, like where do you go? I'm going to go to the Tutto Gusto wine bar.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm going to have one of the Gusto plates, right? With the prosciutto and the salami and the pork sausage and the ham and the mozzarella and the cheese.
I knew you were going to do the whole mozzarella.
It's like Giada di Lorenzo's mozzarella. You have to add like 7 more syllables into it.
All I can hear is Tony saying mozzarella.
Yeah, but you get the cured meats and the fresh cheeses and a nice piece of bread with olive oil on a glass of red wine. Come on, brother. It does not get much better than that.
I'll give you that one. That's pretty good.
So, oh my God,
wow.
I'm so hungry right now.
So hungry.
I need to put a disclaimer at the front of these shows. Be like, don't listen hungry. All right, quickly, go over to Hollywood Studios and then Animal Kingdom.
Oh my gosh. All right, Hollywood Studios. Again, to the sweet. There, any cupcake at Starring Rolls. Seriously. And you know that I love the Butterfinger cupcake. I do. But remember when we did the cupcake tasting?
Oh, yeah,
not too long ago? There was one cupcake that I dare say it outdid the Butterfinger cupcake. Can I remember what it is? No. But
well, there was a couple. If you look back, we did the top 5 cupcakes at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Yeah. It's a video. Go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WDW Radio. You can find it there. There was the lemon blueberry cupcake. There was the special edition cupcake. There was the dark chocolate peanut butter cupcake.
That may have been it. No, keep going.
That was like 6 I mentioned right there. All right, so I'm going to do exactly the opposite, because I will tell you what, and I've said this on a show, and I think we did a video about it too. I think my favorite place to eat, and dare I say, I think this was the title of the episode, the best restaurant in a Walt Disney World theme park that you've probably never eaten at, the Brown Derby Lounge. Mm-hmm. Outside the Brown, where you don't need a reservation. It opens up at noon. Not only can you order anything off the inside menu, including the Cobb salad, but I will tell you, you order those Derby sliders with the Wagyu beef and the cognac mustard aioli and the bacon and the avocado and the chipotle vegetable slaw and the sweet onions and oh my, it'll change your life forever.
Never had it.
Well, then there's a bar there, so now you've got your in to go. All right. Awesome. Last but not least, lay it on me, sister. Disney's Animal Kingdom, the place I know you love to visit during the summer.
My favorite. Yeah. Honestly, this one's tough because I'm. All right, when you're around the animals, I don't eat a lot around the Animal Kingdom. It's just a weird thing. But of course, I'm gonna take a left-hand turn really quickly and just pop over to the closest thing, which is Animal Kingdom Lodge.
No.
I know, but just let me say this.
No.
Let me say this. What? I'm in so much trouble right now. Good. But over there, they do have the zebradromes. But what they do have is the adult version of the jungle juice, which is Pog with pineapple, orange, and guava. And then whatever magical adult thing that they put in there, which is so awesome, and they serve it in concierge. It's awesome. I'm just saying.
There's so much wrong with your kids. For those kids who are listening, or if you're under 21 or don't like to drink, and none of Becky's...
Pog,
right.
You can have Pog without the adult portion,
okay,
pineapple, orange,
you're supposed
and guava.
to be inside. So what? I'll help you, right? What you should say is, Lou, I love and I agree with you that the Yak and Yeti counter service has some of the best counter service restaurant food in the parks. Listen, my go-to meal, I don't even look at the menu anymore. You get a side order of 2 egg rolls and a thing of chicken fried rice. You sit in the back by the fountains with the it's beautiful. It's perfect. You get a nice cup of tea from the little. However, you ready?
I think.
You got to go see Mr. Kamal.
What?
And see, you have no. I love the fact that you have no idea what in God's green earth and Animal Kingdom's green earth I am talking about.
That's half the time that you're talking.
What you need to do is go to Disney's Animal Kingdom and head on over to Asia. Right? Head on over to the Asia section. And not like sort of like across the street, across the walkway, across the beautifully adorned, lush pathway from Flights of Wonder is Mr. Kamal's kiosk. One of the so many wonderfully, incredibly themed and detailed, story-driven kiosks in Animal Kingdom, especially in Asia. And Mr. Kamal's kiosk sells samosas. Now, quick step back for Becky who doesn't know what a samosa is. It's a little fried pastry thing that has a very, very delectable and delicious savory filling. Usually, and these have like spiced potatoes, onions, peas, and usually it has like ground meat, like ground meat or ground chicken or ground lamb, whatever it may be. I think the ones here are only just peas and potatoes, but they serve it with a side of mango chutney, right? So you've got this deliciously savory, warm, fried, and look, it's healthy. It's got vegetables inside, and this not so sweet, but kind of sweet mango chutney that adds another sort of layer of flavor. If you're looking for a nice, shareable, not that I share, I think it comes with like 5 samosas in there. They are not, and one thing I like too, especially for like they weren't greasy at all, right? It fits into the story of Asia and India and this whole. They are phenomenal. They got a little sort of hint of like a spice, a chili, a curry to it, but not so much, and it's offset so well by the mango chutney. You get that and a little cup of like iced tea maybe from the tea place across. Oh, that, and then you sit by the water. Forget about it, kids.
Wow. All right, that sounds like something that you got to try once.
I can see how it goes. I get very excited when I talk about food. And I love the whole Anandapur village. Oh, that's it. It's the Royal Anandapur Tea Company. I love the theming there. So you get your tea from there. You go see Mr. Kamal. Not that Mr. Kamal actually works there, but you get the samosas, and then you go behind the frozen Coke place. There's 2 or 3 little tables down there by the water. It's beautiful and relaxing, and you take your time and you enjoy your 2-day tour of Disney's Animal Kingdom the way it should be.
You know what else I like too, though? I do like Yak and Yeti, and you don't have to have a reservation there. You can just, belly up to the bar that I like so much. That is the go-to location, the lounge, because you don't have to have a reservation, and you can still get the stuff off the menu. But I was trying to remember what it was, but it's chicken, like a honey chicken? What?
No,
what are you laughing at me for? I remember it was good. Be nice to me.
There's a honey chicken, and there's also like a sweet and sour chicken.
Okay, I'm talking about the honey. Well, I wouldn't do a sweet and sour. You know me better than that. So it must have been the honey chicken. But that was really, really good there. And I do enjoy stopping for a beverage at Yak and Yeti. So there.
Well, you actually
but not to be outdone.
Right.
What?
Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I'm just going to hop just for the fun of it because I happen to be in this time zone right now. The Disneyland corn dog and the California Adventure anything in a cone.
Yeah,
I just had to throw.
Do you really want to start bringing me down that road? Do you want me to start talking about Disney California Adventure? Next thing I know, I'll be on Disney Cruise Line. Listen, let's stop this.
Chocolate souffle.
Let's stop this.
Cheese service at Remy.
Focus, woman. Focus. Because the question I have for you, the listener, who is probably incredibly starving and or mad at me right now, I want you to answer Gunnar Hayes' question. Pick one food item in each of the 4 parks as your favorite. You can either tweet me at Lou Mangello. Better yet, come to WDWRadio.com. Click on the podcast link. Go to this week's podcast, and you'll see that you can scroll down and leave comments. I'd love for you guys to leave your comments there. Keep the conversation going. I will teach Becky how to go to WDWRadio.com so she can also participate as well and go, oh, my God, I've never had a Mickey bar. Oh, my God, I've never had this before because they don't serve it at the bar. But I want to hear from you and maybe even introduce me to something, dare I say, that I have not tried before.
Wow.
And listen, if a lot of these things are new to you, then clearly you need to go back to Walt Disney World pronto. Go to your boss, tell them you have to take an emergency trip, and then go to mousefantravel.com, and they will help get you booked, whether you go into All-Star, to Grand Floridian, Animal Kingdom Lodge, or anywhere in between. Becky and her team of agents will help you out. They'll get you the best possible prices. They'll help you get from point A to point B and partake in the culinary adventures that you need to undertake oh so very soon.
And at no additional fee, no charges for our services.
Which means
just
more
want to make
money
sure
for you to spend on food. That's
exactly
the important part.
Now I'm so hungry.
I am famished.
Yeah, we need to start making dining reservations now. Like
I am so
now.
I like just going up. See, I like to graze. I do. I like to sort of graze. Yeah, I'm gonna sort of walk up and like, oh, let's see what Trilobites has on the menu. Did you ever have the baked?
bites.
Did you ever have the baked apple blossom?
No. Wait, what?
Oh,
Where?
wait, what?
Where? What? Where the heck is that?
You don't even know what Trilobites is, do you? You have no clue.
Well, so you said bites, and I immediately went to corn dog bites at Casey's.
No.
I love those little corn dog bites at Casey's.
No, and you get the little green honey ginseng tea, or a nice little oolong tea from Royal Anandapur, and you sit by the water. Oh my God!
Jasmine rice, just rice.
Forget it. Forget it.
I'm so
I gotta
hungry
go.
right now. Great stuff.
I gotta go. Where's my yoga pants? I gotta look at something. Becky Mankin, always like a box of chocolates. It's always interesting.
I was coconut today.
You're not quite up to like dark chocolate toffee. You're like you're like a milk chocolate covered peanut today. I don't know where that is on the scale, but
dare I ask? I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to totally leave that alone for right now.
I'm more of a dark chocolate guy. If anybody feels like sending me food, just
okay, so you get the almond joy, I get the mounds. I'm just saying.
You listen. You're the nut in the group. You.
Whoa! Wait, what? No.
Almond joy's got nuts. Mounds don't.
I know.
Because
coconut.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. But Mounds has dark chocolate. Almond joy has milk chocolate.
The only thing that goes in chocolate is either coconut or caramel. I don't like fruit with my chocolate. Fruit and chocolate don't mix.
You could flitter and flutter to the Isle of Springs, to that emerald green garden, and do wonderful things if you had wings, if you had wings, if you had wings.
our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, where I invite you to test your knowledge of Walt Disney World history or see how well you pay attention to the details in what you see and sometimes even in what you hear. If you think you know the answer, you can enter for a chance to win a Disney Prize package. Before we get to this week's question, let's go back, review last week's, and select our winner. So last week's question was about the details in what you see, really on attractions that you've probably ridden over and over again, but maybe didn't see all the details. Because your question was simply to tell me, on what two Walt Disney World attractions will you find a man in a bathtub? And again, thanks to the hundreds of you who entered and got this one correct. They are, of course, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which you could also see from the Walt Disney World Railroad, so I would have accepted that too, of where you can spot Cousin Elrod in his full-length pinkish, reddish undergarments. He's one of the last inhabitants of Tumbleweed, decides to sit back, relax, and take a bath. And of course, Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress, where we could see Orville. He went from cousin to uncle. Orville, with no privacy at all around this place, taking a bath as well. I took all the correct entries that emailed their answers in, randomly selected one. Once again, you were playing for all 6 of my virtual audio walking tours of the parks, a copy of my 102 Ways to Save Money for an at Walt Disney World book, and I pulled something from my Disney collection, which, by the way, I am currently purging on eBay. If you visit WDWRadio.com/eBay, you can see new items every week that start and stop on Sunday nights. But I digress. So last week's randomly selected winner is Emily Deegan. So Emily, congratulations. Please email me your address. I will send out your prize package. If you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. So I recently spent a lot of time in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom as I am getting ready to complete and release the final piece of the puzzle in my audio tour of Walt Disney World series, which is, of course, Tomorrowland. And that prompted me to come up with this week's trivia question, which is this. Tell me, what 2 companies once sponsored the Tomorrowland Speedway? You have until Sunday, February 8th at 11:59 p.m. to email your answer to contest@WDWRadio.com. You are again playing for all the audio tours, the 102 Ways book, and yes, something else from my personal eBay collection. So good luck and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you again so very much for taking the time to tune in. You give me the greatest, most precious gift that you have, which is your time, and I am very, very grateful for that. I also want to say thanks to everybody who has rated and reviewed my 102 Ways to Save Money for an at Walt Disney World book on Amazon.com, including Noelle, Steve, Suzanne, and Shelley, who felt that she needed to order 2 copies. To find out more and order, you can visit Disney102.com. Also, don't forget that in addition to the podcast, which you can subscribe to and over on iTunes, please join me every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for WDWRadioLive.com. We'll spend 10-15 minutes where you can watch and chat with me in the text chat room about this week's Walt Disney World news, and then stay on for about an hour later, talk about anything that you like, and ask me anything in the lightning round. Also, visit the website for our blog, contest, photo galleries, discussion forums, free email newsletter, the WDW Radio free app for your iPhone and Android device, and lots more. If you have a question you want answered on the show, you can email me at lou@WDWRadio.com, or if you want to be heard on the air, call the voicemail at 407-900-9391, or click on the Leave Lou a Voicemail button on the WDWRadio.com website. Please also follow me on Twitter. I am at Lou Mongello. If you want to follow my personal stuff on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Lou Mongello, and be part of the conversation by visiting facebook.com/WDW Radio. Please come by, like the page there as well. And I have said this for the past 10 years, and it still holds true more than ever. As much as I love connecting with you guys online, I believe that nothing beats a handshake and a hug, and that is why I do events every month, sometimes more than once a month, including Meet of the Month in Walt Disney World. Our next meetup is actually going to be this weekend for the 8th anniversary party. Look for upcoming meets in Walt Disney World by visiting the events page at WDWRadio.com. I also do events on the road. I travel a lot to speak at conferences and schools or to consult with businesses. And when I do, I usually like to try and do a meetup on the road somewhere. Have a lot of those coming up very, very soon this summer. You can visit LouMongello.com to find out where those are going to be. And also, if you want to have me come to speak at your conference, to the kids at your school, or to consult with you or your business about how to build your brand and business, maybe start a podcast of your own, again, visit LouMongello.com. Thanks again to Becky from Mousefan Travel. You can visit them over at mousefantravel.com. And if you want to get a little bit of Disney magic delivered right to your door, visit celebrationspress.com to order Celebrations Magazine. And as always, my friends, and you are my friends, whether we have met yet or not, I promise you that. All I ask is that if you like the show, please help spread the word. Tweet out that you're listening. Ask me questions on Twitter or Facebook and comment and share links there as well. And please, if you can, take 2 minutes, go to iTunes and rate and review the show there. We have more than 930 reviews. Love to get to 1,000 5-star reviews. I want to thank recent reviewers like TBB95, Carrie, and Scuba Guy. And if you want a direct link and instructions on how to rate and review the show, you can visit wdwradio.com/iTunes. And finally, and most importantly, I am grateful beyond words to you for taking the time to listen every week and give me some of your time and such wonderful feedback and come to events. You have no idea how much it means to me, because you empower me to do what I love and share it with you each and every week in so many different ways. And I want you to do the same thing, right? So don't worry about trying to do it all in one fell swoop, right? You do need to keep moving forward, but one step and one little win and one thing you focus on at a time. And I promise you, you can and will get there too. And if there's some way I can help you, please let me know. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic week this week. Oh, big thanks to everybody who has been so far a charter member of WDW Radio Nation. Really, really appreciate that. Got some exciting things coming up for that. To find out more, visit WDWRadio.com/support. That's it for me. I'll see you next week. Have a fantastic week, everybody. See ya.
Hi, Lou. This is Ron Havens calling you from Smiths Grove, Kentucky. Just got a couple of comments in regards to your what movies should be attractions. I wanted to elaborate on your Wreck-It Ralph. I think Wreck-It Ralph should be a three-pronged attraction. The first one should be Sugar Rush, which would appeal to as a racing game, but mostly has a female or young girl appeal to it. The next one should be the bug game. I can't remember the name of the game, but the one that where Ralph got his medal. That should be the second one, and then the third pronged one should be the actual Wreck-It Ralph game with Fix-It Felix. That it should be three prongs so that they could take your choice of going one or all three. And then when you rewrote it, the other movie that should be an attraction that's not is Jungle Book. I think it should be a walkthrough attraction that has sets that kind of puts you in the place of Mowgli, and it guides you through Mowgli's journey and kind of retells the story as you go along. Those are my comments on it. Thanks for the show, and appreciate everything you do. Have a magical day.
Hello, Lou Mongello. It's Darlene Nagy from West Seneca, New York. I am calling in to tell all the WDW Radio Disney Wonder Cruisers and box people that everything is going well with my husband. He's slowly getting better. It's going to take a while, but I'm hoping everything's going to go smoothly. And today we are now 4 months away from the Disney Wonder Alaska cruise with the WDW Radio Group. And it is going to be a bucket cruise as we've never thought of before. I'm looking forward to booking our excursions and our dining at Palo. And thank you very much for everybody that was saying prayers for my hubby, Keith. And please, if you can still continue them so he can heal up and be ready to go. Thank you again. Love you all, and see you real soon. It's only 4 months. It's going to go quick. Bye.
You've got a friend in me. Yeah.
No privacy at all around this place.
Sorry, Orville.